a biochemistry student, Kojo Oppong, biochemistry student. And then he's like, the government has been manipulating data to achieve favorable economic data. What does that even mean? Which data is the government manipulating? What is the government manipulating? Data being which data? What is your source? Where is your source? And on what basis? Because when you talk about mop up, and then I must start taking, there was some laws that government of Ghana or Bahama administration or the Bank of Ghana inherited. That loss, how did they get rid of it? When the government comes to power, the NPP left 60 billion loss at the Bank of Ghana. 60 billion. 60 billion. Now, if you want to do mop up, what is mop up? The issue is the more money you have in the system, the probability of you having inflation in your system is high. So sometimes what the NPP did was, because I know Mukesika egu system, a lot of banks had money, but there was so much going on in the system to the point where interest rate was so high, people were not going to the bank for the monies. People were not taking even loans. So the banks were sitting on money, and that was also causing a lot of inflation, because at the end of the day, the people system and bank. So what do? You need to create space in the economy so that people will be going after the city. Because when there's so much city in the system and you don't mop up the system, what is going to happen is the system is going to choke into ultimate na any value biya. Now, the only way you can get your economy running or you can clean the system is to make sure the city is scarce. Now, the more it is scarce, the more people want to have access to the city, and then the banks get to work with people who want to work with the bank, whether to take loan or to save. So what you do as a government is sometimes you force the banks to withdraw some of the money to the central bank. Now, the central bank will have to keep the money. A policy. The central bank keeps some of the money, and then they create vacuum in the system. Now, those monies the central bank keeps, when the banks need the money, slowly they can start releasing the money slowly into the system. But the central bank will take those money offloads. That is what we call the mop up. So you create vacuums, then you keep. Then people start to chase the money. Now, when people start to chase the money, you start to release the money to the commercial banks slowly. It's the same money. Then people start to get access to the money. That is the only way you create vacuum for the system to start working. Because of the 60 billion the Ghana Bank of Ghana Boguano, this government was supposed to do a mop-up. It's a policy. Because when it comes and there's so much money in the banks and the interest rate is high, the lender's rate is high, and the inflation is high, people are not going to go to the bank for the monies. And that is what is going to cause inflation. So now what happens? The system chokes. Now, if you're a government and you are a smart banker, what you do is that you mop the system. Mopping the system does not mean you are hiding the money. You create vacuum in the system for people to chase, because it is only scarcity that is going to make people look for money. People try to come for loan. People try to save. Until when you create that vacuum, that is when you are able to mop the system, to recalibrate the system, to bring it back. And that is what the Bank of Ghana did now. Nobody's manipulating any system. Nobody's manipulating anything. Nobody's touching anything. The system is running by itself. So data ni manipulate. The same people saying say Bawomia effort na data no system ni koye. Ade be chena so catch say system no be manipulate. What is what? This is the idiot. Listen to him. These foolish people.
You would recall that we have always insisted that the methods, Mr. President, the methods that this administration is using to achieve the numbers that they are publishing to you, those methods should be interrogated. But we have always said that it's not enough for your child to go to town and come back home with a brand new car for you to be happy. You need to examine the method with which the child brought that car and ask yourself, is it sustainable? Is it an appropriate method? So take inflation. We have consistently said that the method they are using to bring inflation down is sterilization. What sterilization means is that they mop up money from the system, because if people don't have money in their pocket, they can't exercise what we call in economics effective demand. And if they can't demand, prices will either stay where they are, or you, the seller, at a point will decide, let me reduce my prices and get rid of this stock. Now, we told you that in 2025, they sterilized about 62 billion cedis from the economy. They mopped it up and literally parked it at the central bank. It's never happened before in our history. It's what they call the shock approach to achieve that number of 3.3. That is what the governor is now saying, that the mop-up exercise has cost him about 17 billion cedis to bring it down to 3.3. But you see, that is to remove money from the system. It hasn't dealt with the cost of production, because electricity is going up, labor is going up, other inputs in production. Fees and charges, as you have rightly mentioned, in some cases more than even 100%. So the consequence is that you will see 3.3 inflation, and you have rightly said that the first problem you are worried about is that, however, in the market, effective demand has gone down. A lot of people are telling you they don't have money to be able to buy. It's because of the method they are using.
The guy is just playing around words. He's just playing around words. Sterilization. Onwankasa admitted in his statement, say, when the government came into power, when the Bank of Ghana governor came into office, 60 billion every in a buy. 62 billion na a good system ni muna na achoki system no. Where did it come from? Wankasa, I thought you were going to say the Bank of Ghana came and pumped 60 billion into the system. But you see, he was playing with words. He moved away from there and said, oh, they mopped it up. Now, where did the 62 billion, a begu system, a choking system, where did it come from? You are talking about charges. You are talking about electricity. You are talking about people not going for the money. The question here is, how did we end up with 60 billion in the market, which was not doing anything in the market? How did we end up with 60 billion? He did not talk about that. He quickly moved away from that because do you understand me? It is all the customer. He was just playing with words because he's doing politics. The question here is, if you want us to understand and believe what you are saying now, the 62 billion you were saying, say, mop up the money in the system. The Bank of Ghana mopped the money. They took the money out of the system. What was that money doing in the system? And the question is, if that money was in the system, how were you going to get rid of that money? Did you want the money to magically disappear? How were you going to get rid of it? Because remember, if you allow that money to stay in the system, your system is choked. Now, people are not coming for the money. So how do you drive the economy? The question is simple. How do you drive the economy? You are talking about mop up of 60 billion. Where did the 60 billion come from? Because if you want to mop up 60 billion from the system, you need to understand it's going to come with a cost. You made a loss of just closing down banks. Now, you put in 60 billion illegal money in the system. That has caused a lot of stalemate in the system. You expect people to try and fix that problem without incurring some cost? No, because every single money, cedi, you take out of the system, it means you are going to pay the cost for it. So who created the 62 billion in the first place? This is a biochemistry student too. He knows nothing about economy. He's just foolish. He's throwing words around. Let me show you something. You see this? Step by step, how they mop up liquidity. Mop up. The question is, the 62 billion, where did it come from? It is the 62 billion MPP for Bawumiamu Chagu system, a choky system. No. Now, if you want to understand the mop now, step by step, how they mop up liquidity. Step one, they detect too much money in the system. So when you detect too much money in the system, you find a way to get some of the money out of the system. Because if you don't do that, your economy is going to crash. It's going to be stuck. And if the governor and the Bank of Ghana had not done that, the $60 billion cedis now, system, it would have crashed the economy. Because now, there's no space to do any business. People are not going to come for loan. Remember, interest rate and lenders rate is high. So how is somebody going to come for money? The interest rate on it is high, and also you have so much money in the system. So why is he coming for the money? And these things all go against the economy. And then you need somebody who is smart to understand and say, no, create a room, create space. Creating that space for people to also chase the money, it's called mopping up. And when they say create, and that's what we could back at you need to sit people down. It's hours of work, administrative work. It also comes with costs. So if I'm mopping up 62 billion at a cost of 17 million, I don't think I've done any loss, because you now want to cause a lot of damage to the country. Now, step by step, Kojo Oppong is a biochemist student too. While born, I can lecture him on him about economics. He's just a liar. Step by step, Bank of Ghana monitors bank reserves, lending levels, inflation trends. That is step by step. They detect too much money in the system. Bank of Ghana monitors the bank reserves, the lending levels, and also inflation trends. So if there's too much cash sitting in the banks, risk of inflation. So the Bank of Ghana wanted to prevent inflation. So the only thing they could do was to withdraw or bring some of the money back home. The 60 billion muchagu system no. Like a Bank of Ghana more pay system no and creative vacuum, creative space for system mo and kebenya inflation. And then anka obet me 100,000 Ghana no to tomatoes mienu. But they didn't want us to go through the Zimbabwe feeling na at a point Zimbabwe near to tomatoes me 3 million dollars no. They didn't want us to do that. So the Bank of Ghana had to take an initiative. They need to look at the interest rate, that is the lenders rate. They need to look at air bank reserve, and also they have to look at the inflation trend. So to prevent inflation, Sikano and then from Abra, you been here 20,000 Ghana to buy 2 tomatoes. No, they need to create room. They need to take some of the money out of the system. Printed 60 billion because of the elections. They didn't care the aftermath. They did not care what the 60 billion they were putting in the system going to do to us, because they were just thinking about the elections. They were pumping money in the system, but it was affecting businesses. Businessmen were not making money. The inflation, the city was getting weaker and weaker because it was choked. Now, this is what they do again. Kojo Oppong, the core idea, excess liquidity. You can say excess liquidity. That means too much cedis in banks and the economy. In Chomobano, there was excess money in the system. Too much cedis in banks and in the economy. Now, when you get too much money in the system, sika, too much, everybody gets access to money, inflation goes up. That means, Obuha Okuta Ahumedibotri. Because Obiawa 1 million Ghana shadow hon kekeninti, Obaton Ahumedibotri 20 million Ghana. Then it means you need 20 million Ghana cedis to buy Ahumedibotri. Abra on a normal day, Abra Ahumedibotri does not have to cost 20 million Ghana. It is because there's so much money in the system, the value of the currency becomes weak. It cannot do what? Run the economy. So what you do is you create space, you mop the system, you take some of the money out. Who created the money in the first place? Who created the inflation in the first place? Who made interest rate high in the first place? It was the MPP. They put 62 billion Ghana cedis in the system. Now, people spend more. Demand rises, prices go up, inflation is the end game. So the Bank of Ghana steps in to pull money out of the circulation temporarily. So what they did was, the Bank of Ghana, they came in and they started the mopping strategy, which is they told all the commercial banks, you have too much money. Now, na space in bedim. Now, space in bedema, people will be coming. They'll be asking for money. Now, you can now manage how the money flows in the system. Now, the money itself, the currency will start to gain its strength. That is how you fight inflation. You can say inflation, if you have less money in the system that is working the right way, it can fight inflation. Inflation is all about having too much or excess money in the system, whereby money loses its value. So, Emma Nyoma Bo, at the end of the day, I didn't also turn 2 cities near 10,000 Ghana, and that is the economics. So you need to be a leader, you need to be a smart person to do this. In the Kojo Oppong, sorry, no catch Ghana for say, the Bank of Ghana is manipulating data, and that more pap no. Bumbu se Kojo Oppong say the 62 billion he mentioned, who put it in the system? Me, I learned basic economics in Presec. Monsieur, basic economics in Presec. I'm not a smart student like that, but I can prove to you, say, Kojo Oppong is an idiot with Jimmy until you all can say. The question we need to ask Oppong, the 62 billion he mentioned, who created the 62 billion? Until he tells me where the 62 billion came from, he cannot talk about data manipulation here. He cannot talk about data manipulation. The same thing they read, we read the same thing. He is just playing with words. He's just lying. He's just using sterilization. And he knows nothing about economics. Kojo Oppong Nkrumah wa bon. Eradi. Ghana pa eradi. Hey, we sometimes allow these things to go on. Then I ask myself, Ghana pa ni. When did we stop reading? When did we stop asking questions? Tautia Kwanankasa statement, he shot himself in the foot. Or see, 62 billion. Where did it come from?
You would recall that we have always insisted that the methods, Mr. President, the methods that this administration is using to achieve the numbers that they are publishing to you, those methods should be interrogated. But we have always said that it's not enough for your child to go to town and come back home with a brand new car for you to be happy. You need to examine the method with which the child brought that car and ask yourself, is it sustainable? Is it an appropriate method? So take inflation. We have consistently said that the method they are using to bring inflation down is sterilization. What sterilization means is that they mop up money from the system, because if people don't have money in their pockets, they can't exercise what we call in economics effective demand. And if they can't demand, prices will either stay where they are, or you, the seller, at a point will decide, let me reduce my prices and get rid of the stock. Now, we told you that in 2025, they sterilized about 62 billion cedis from the economy. They mopped it up and literally parked it at the central bank. It's never happened before in our history. 2025. Now, we told you that in 2025, they sterilized about 62 billion cedis from the economy. They mopped it up and literally parked it at the central bank. It's never happened before in our history. It's what they call the shock approach to achieve that number of 3.3. That is what the governor is now saying, that the mop-up exercise...
Where did the 62 billion come from? When the government came into power in 2025 January. So the 62 billion you are talking about, where did they come from? If you're buy. He moves away from that. Utisa jantra for kraba and I'll take Ghana and I would for. The 62 billion that you are saying Bank of Ghana took out of the system, where did it come from? I thought you were going to say, Esiama created 62 billion loss. I thought you were going to say, NDC almost printed 62 billion into the system. Now we need to first ask, where did the 62 billion come from? Kwasia. You shit and somebody comes to clean your shit for you, you turn around and say, me this year, I don't know, bini. You people are crazy. You think Ghana belongs to you people. Let me tell you. You see, more education. Step 2, they offer attractive parking for banks. Bank of Ghana tell commercial banks, when they want to do those mop-ups, this is what they do. They say, bring your excess cash to us. We will give you a safe investment with interest. It's Bank of Ghana mop system now. They don't just take the money without giving the banks back anything. No. Because every single day, Bank of Ghana, it needs to make some money out of it. The banks need to make interest, because in Kofadiji loan, the bank too are using people's money to work. Even though excess money illegal, mutual system. So Bank of Ghana person mop up now. It was set or just as can be good central banker. It was set otua som for somo. And that is what brings about those costs. It's sometimes, the Bank of Ghana to make us say, we would invest that money and give it to you back. Bank of Ghana bills. This is where tools like open market instruments comes in. When Bank of Ghana goes, they just don't take the money and those banks sit there. Every single cedi they take from the banks, they need to make sure they for the banks. And they have different ways of doing what? Of making sure those monies they take, even keeping for them, they make money out of it. And when the investment the strategy comes in, the interests come in. Into there are other ways they are able to make that money, to make money for them later. In the first place, they are creating room for the banks to be able to operate. The monies they are taking out of the system to keep for them, they still have to make sure. Now, when you move forward, you see this. Step 7, they release money back later. That is when it is needed for those monies to go back into the system. mop up, no, that steps in a mature, no. So they don't keep the money. They wait. When they think it is necessary for the money to go back into the system, the Bank of Ghana will give them back the money. But what happens when inflation is under control? The moment on mop up, no space better system ni more. Now people start to chase money because it will be driven by the demand for the money. And then about preventing inflation. Now they will see, say, now people are now going for loans. People are now looking for the small money in the system. That is when the Bank of Ghana will see, say, okay, now inflation is down. We can now release some of the money into the system for it to be adequate enough for people to get access to money. Until they don't just pump all the money back, they gradually, and I could sterilize them. And at the end, they know this is basic economics. Now what they do again is they stop absorbing money. They let securities mature, return cash plus interest to banks. This injects liquidity back into the economy. So what the Bank of Ghana basically does is say, releases Circulating kakran. What happens is the Circulating, they invest it in different forms. Into infrastructure, then they quickly, slowly inject it into the system. Into the Bank of Ghana cleaning up and at the same time investing through the cleanup. Into a mop up. Yes, it is not wrong for the banks to mop the system, but it is only right to mop when there is too much money in the system. And who created the excess money in the system is the NPP. The 62 billion Ghana cedis. Where did it come from? Inti, anytime I catch them say, and social media, ekasa, and enim oka. Take your time and listen to the facts. The facts are there. Kojo Oppong can of or a biochemistry student. Kojo Oppong met much in economics. Or but now or didn't pay another quarter suit because on some will be Jimmy. Mumu be suit I'm used to Nyansa. Onim Nyansa Bakumpo. Kojo Oppong Onim Nyansa Bako. We were here. Time and NDC our position. I to force some catch. In fact, I think it was after elections. Let me show you this. Mumuja Kojo Oppong say, or you should tell us where the 62 billion came from. We were here. It's on record. Let me show you. This is what the NDC told us. This was in what? 2022. Bank of Ghana under Ekufuado and Bawumia. They have printed 22 billion without parliamentary approval. Nkrumah. End of 2024, Doma printed 62 billion. And no mujagu system because they wanted to win the elections, because they wanted people to have money. Hey, MPP, and they just threw it in the system. 2022 now to force Ghana was the Bank of Ghana, Addison, Omucheska, and they are pumping money in the system, and it's going to collapse the economy. 2022, Mumuso Oppong says, "Sa sika we want to print here." 2024, time MPP NDC win election about power January 2025, not 60 billion. And a normal printing system. Today, somebody is cleaning up. You are saying, say, the data is favoring them. Where kwasia? Thank you, Mr. S, for bringing this in. Mama Rev Fiadio, MPP, Omo Jimmy, ye delete, ne upload the papano. The same people told us recently, oh, the economy is doing well. It is Bawumia. Adiachia, almost oh, the economy. We are manipulating the system to favor the government. Kwasia into Bawumia. Diano waye. The same people will tell you, oh, the economy is doing well. Give credit to Bawumia. It is good for reserve. It is good for oil. Oh, the government is manipulating. Into Bawumia, dia na Bawumia ye. Na Bawumia no, adai, ontuminya lectures biom. Can't he come out and tell us about what he sees in the economy? Can't he come out himself and tell us or take credit for what he has done? Kwasiafo. Bawumia konfon kanu kurewe na modern bada mona mobe kasama Bawumia. Mahmoud Bawumia, Nitisa Santikodu. He should come and speak. We are waiting for him. I will not even make Ato Forsen talk. I will not even make Joma. I will face Bawumia. Me. Per second, I'm calling you. Me year 2002. Me a Engman student. Me share economics or per sec. I can face Mahmoud Bawumia. Bawumia economics ben on him. Bawumia does not have common sense. He cannot apply. He's a true and poor man. And they don't know economics. Me say Bawumia static aside. Ato Forsen don't talk. John Mahama don't talk. All the MDC economists don't talk. I will face Bawumia myself. Me. I will face Bawumia. Bawumia. What does Bawumia know about economics? What does Mahmoud Bawumia know about economics? So when economics are me, I will beat him one-on-one debate. Mahmoud Bawumia. Chew and poor way. Oh. Where are they take and what? A wiki in the system no and obeying. John Mahama Atofo-Sin and the NDC economists, nobody should face Bawumia. The day Bawumia will speak, I'll have a press conference in Ghana. I'll respond to every single thing he will say. I will face Bawumia, me, myself. My bodam. Say Bawumia in economics. My bomodam. Now, I'm sure I did AC. Mahmoud. And Guta. About saying 716. Muda hujinem. Sanate. Obiani baby ako. And they see Guta for Echo Shia a year minority. Natie de Ekosie. The minority leader, the murderer Alexander Afenyomakin, has assured the Ghana Union of Traders, Guta, of the New Patriotic Party's commitment to improving its performance if given another opportunity to govern. Yes, see. And the Guta, Ghana Union of Traders Association, Ekoshia minority. Afenyomakin has some catch and say, oh, Mude Mumma another chance, Yabebuamo. Afenyomakin, Ekachre Guta for say, oh, Mude Munya, but most of my chance for Namu to my Ebe Bia Yamamo, Yabema Watomo, Yabebuamo Yene, Yabe perform it better. Afenyomakin, as much Guta for any Mukachro. And the MPP Jina Guta for him. Ekachro say, Omonto, Mumma ye to me, na Yabedia Mope, Nasa Guta for so, Agragro, in conform with some Jimmy. MPP for whom some adjourn were form. And you see, Debiano me catch a Ghana for say MPP Debiano, they do politics with these kind of associations. Oh, said the president met the labor unions. And the president was blunt, straightforward, and he told them facts about governance in the Ekoso. Adia Chinyamso, Guta Fombra. Makacham say one of the most partisan group in Ghana. A Guta. Yeah. Adechinya Afenyomakin say Guta Fombra for a meeting. Or no Afenyomakin promise Guta for say Omo mutumi na omo beboa Guta for. Na nipa na we flag bearer no way. Kantanka model no way, kantanka model na nkaso way. For 8 good years you stayed with these people. People could not even ship cars to Ghana to take them out of our port. Importers lost all their monies. But Afenyomakin MPP who Guta for some ya cromfo mo jiminti. Or say, oh, me na me Afenyomakin. Now who Guta ni? You are taking the word of Afenyomakin. Otubejina parliament kasem adiechi also meboa. Now why don't you face Bawumia himself or Bawumia to tell you? Anything a Guta for, Monko call on Bawumia himself. Because I know Afenyomakin I'm going to Abamano and I'm a boy. Bawumia the president Teddy. So why don't you face Bawumia? Why are you facing Afenyomakin? Afenyomakin is a liar. Into where Jimmy Kurano Babusa will say, okay, this guy standing in front of me, at the end of the day, how can I hold him responsible? He's a mere member of parliament. Afenyomakin is a mere member of parliament. A pathological liar who can say something today in parliament, the next day he will come and say, I am lying. So Guta, Uya Guta Pejina says, Sebio, why do you fear? You first have to ask yourself, is this person sitting before me credible enough for me to sit here and even talk to him? It is a woman who quite now Sani Panitsa, and as a one kata krampono, Sebio, why do you form to entertain Afenyomakin to be talking to you? How can you trust Afenyomakin? What is his credibility level? Because you people have nothing doing. So for the past 8 years, now in the MBA say, Guta for the way MPP they see them no. Today they prove to Ghana for say I am part. If the MPP they see them as idiots, they are in fact idiots. Yeah. Mamika Binchro. Guta for the prove which NDC MPP for say. Sabu you see a Jimmy a Jimmy because they also expose themselves in front of the NPP. And that's why I keep telling you people. Ed say Ghana no politics, any Jimmy be telling Homa, they cannot even think again. Now listen, Guta for this is what they said when they met Afenyomakin. Business climate, MPP and NDC politicians have allowed foreigners to take over our retail market. Is that what they want to do? Guta for we more MPP for how many months to importers, they don't pay taxes. I am telling you, the leadership of Guta, 90% of them are importers, they don't pay taxes at the port. I will expose all of them. And if you Guta for Anwa, I and this MPP for I'm a foreigners for a Juma. Now one man who foreigner bit for Juma. How can a Ghanaian go into the Chinese market and take over the Chinese market? If even the politician allows Chinese to enter the Ghanaian market, you, the traders, at the end of the day, when it comes to the market, because this is a free world, when the Chinese come into a country, so what we call China koji loan, China would the right to come to a country to do business. Now it is up to you to find ways to let your people understand, say, the things you sell is more cheaper, more better than whatever the Chinese is selling. You need to find a way to make your things lucrative to your citizenry. And it's now China Nkrumah. Now you're Ghana now could be choba kra. As much as choba near the best, Udu China, Omobachira will say they have ways and means their people will still support their own than you, the Ghanaian restaurant. That one is beyond the government. It is the traders. It is Omomuya restaurant or China. No, they know how to collapse you, the foreigner, your business. They are not going to attack you. They are not going to come and burn it down. But they have a way. So Oton BB $1, on 99 cents. They will do everything possible to make sure the market is not lucrative for you to fold up. But this is a situation whereby Oko China kofa engine 2 Ghana cedis. Oko China kofa a whole engine 10 Ghana cedis. Now Chinese need the same engineer 10 Ghana cedis about Ghana or beton 5 cedis. Now would have general so beton engine 12 Ghana. Now Ghana ni na unim se adere nyina free China na on free one. Chinese ni na wusa mo be fa nyama na on ho a mo ba na mo de betwa nkofo Ghana. Enti baby abafa ba no ono ade be bre nkofo no ateso. So why don't you people learn to understand say some profit margin no mo beteso. Ghana ni kofa China engine ba Ghana. Okofa driving mirror eba Ghana. Ade oton China $5 no. Chinese ni so Ghana na okofa sa nyoma na bi fi China ba. Na Chinese ni ton $2.50. And so na Ghana ni pay $7. Why? Now use the Chinese no steady market no. Chinese for no redeem when we say money brad there. Omo will say you people you cheat your own people. Omo will say you people you are greedy. So what they are doing is they are capitalizing on your greed against your own people to make money out of you. And the Chinese for no they read the market. I don't think the Chinese for America MBA shops around. They are very selective where they open shops even in America. The shops in America they open, they are very careful about it because you know something, they know they cannot compete the market. So what they will do is they will rather sell it to an American who will come and sell it at a price they think it makes sense. But momoko China, namoko tonyo mana namo de ba, namo tiso. Chinese is what steady mo we say. Monko for the ba namo befanyo mano. But namana mo fano ne boy fo. Babu bedu kuroma nko for to minto adentra and they ono ade beba beton ama nko for no. And that is what they are doing. Mumi anko tie guta for asema omo kaye. Ebe omobo. Listen to them.
And the majority, because it is you, the politicians, that have allowed these foreigners to flood our market and then trying as much as possible to displace the locals and then take the market completely. A critical example is what we are experiencing in the mining sector. Now, all our water bodies have been polluted by these Chinese people. And these Chinese people are being brought by you, the politicians. The Chinese people are being brought by you, the politicians. Because it is said oftentimes that both the minority and the majority are being blamed for the galamsey that is going on, because you have your people doing the galamsey and it is being done by these foreigners, because you are the people who bring these foreigners, these Chinese people, into the country and then be doing this galamsey and have polluted our water bodies. The same thing is happening in the retail sector now. Now they have taken over every aspect of the retail sector. Let's talk about the constructive sector, that is the mining sector. It's been taken over by foreigners. The financial sector, the banks and all those fintech areas have been taken over by the foreigners. The communication sector have been taken over by the foreigners. Now the automobile sector is also being taken over by the foreigners. And the small retail that we are doing, that even if you are illiterate, you can even do the retail trading, is also being taken over by foreigners. And excuse me, in your own wisdom that you passed this GIPC Act and reserved some areas solely for the citizens of the country, those areas are also being taken by the foreigners, and you are not doing anything about it. I am glad that the minority leader said that he's a businessman, and I think most of you here are also a business people. I'm sure one day when you retire from parliament, you will definitely come into the business sector. And you come in, when you come into the business sector, and those areas have been taken over by foreigners, where do you stand? Where do you stand? Now, because of this situation, the price of shops have risen very high level that the citizens cannot afford to pay for the price of shops, and all the shops are being taken over by foreigners. Now we have these Chinese people establishing.
It is so easy, eh? It is so easy to blame politicians and Chinese. It is so easy to blame politicians, which I agree. It is so easy when you have to accept responsibility. In Ghana, look for a politician and blame. When you have to accept responsibility in Ghana, no matter where you are, which position you fill, look for a politician and blame. So anytime you question people about their actions, why things are not going on where they are, their respective positions, the first thing they do is, let me blame the politician so that the pressure which is going to come on me will go down. They have the Small Scale Miners Association. They have their problem with Galamsey, right? They have the Drivers Association of Ghana. They have their own issue with transport. We are talking about Guta. You being the head. And you see, instead of them to understand that, you know what? We live in a country whereby we have rules that we all have to abide by. What he's trying to do right now in front of the minority is that he's trying to lump politicians all together to make it look like left and right are the problem. We Guta, we are not the problem. So the customer, they did not take any blame for anything. We were here recently, and a Guta catcher will still kind for say Abani be check your books ma, they should not open their books. Say GR Basse or Babe check some mutual movata. Catch your members say, Memo bio books. All because they feel say some tax be a bani dia bano. Tiasie inti so mutua tax so mutuo and this yehu these same people. That's what I'm saying. Say it is so easy to blame the politician. And people, especially from where I come from, Air Ghana, no, we never take responsibility for our actions. The question here is, you say you work with a Chinese in the system. Our laws makes it clear. A Ghanaian can partner a Chinese to open a shop in Ghana. The laws are there. The question here is, you are the sellers of these products in the market. How are you able to make sure that the laws now echo in your favor? No? You are also able to make the citizenry to choose you over the Chinese. How are you doing it? How are you able to do it? You have not told us anything. In the Chinese, do you think that the Ghanaian will see you attractive to come buy from you? So we need to first look within us. Look at how we are doing things right or wrong. Leave the other sectors for those associations to take care of it. Because you came to speak on your issue. Speak on what you are into. Say Small Scale Miners Association of Ghana, if they have an issue with mining, they will come out and tell the government and Ghanaians, this is what we are also going through. That is why we have different sectors of the economy. And we called you, and it's almost say, Guta Mombra. And you said, you are traders, and you said the Chinese are taking over your market. We are asking you, you yourself, what are you doing wrong that is making the Chinese compete you in the market? Or you want to tell us, say, you guys are doing everything perfect in the market. That is why you are not getting your money, or the Chinese are taking. Tell us until you prove to us that every single thing you are doing is perfect. Then we will come and follow or back you people. But you see, this same man talking, he is an importer. Sometimes when they bring their things to the port, they don't pay taxes. And there your company say, move on free port, they start sit on it and sell it at high prices. And that is the problem with these people. So every time the opportunity comes for them to take responsibility, let's blame the politician. In terms of starting, both left and right, you are the problem. Who doesn't know politicians are the problem? But what are we doing as respective associations? What are we doing as respective traders in our market to take over our own market? If the politician is sitting up there, what are we doing as association? Then it means the association is not important. The association is to devise strategies and ways to be able to control the market. How are you not able to control the market? You are not able to control the market because you don't have the power. The reason why you don't have the power is because you have lost the market prices. Your greed is making Ghanaians choose Chinese over you. How can you go to the same place a Chinese in the engine free bar, the same place a Japan in the engine bar, then you sell it the double of the price? That Nipana Okotor or Abertoni cheap. Why does that happen? Say Chinese for no omnium say Ghana engine part and all the things they sell cheaper. They will not come into your market. They will never come. The Chinese always take advantage of markets. People are doing what? Hijacking prices. That is when they come in. They always come in and drop prices when they get to know you are not able to manage your pricing. In the Chinese one, they wait and they watch the system. I'm say your margins, they look at your margins. If the margins you people are making of the things you are buying from them, say this 7%, they will look and enter the market and start to look at 3% margins. So you need to find a way to seal that margin gap. Send a Chinese because Chinese is looking at your loopholes. And the greatest loophole is you people being greedy and holding on to high prices. And that is what the Chinese are taking advantage of. So it is easy to blame the politician. It's fine. Everybody can blame a politician. But you say leader of Guta. Dear pa na odia ba, idea ba na odia ba. Then what to make change about Guta. A dear innovation odia ba. Emma Guta being Guta that is able to control the market, but its members. You don't have any ideas. You chose and you became the leaders of Guta because it gives you the privilege to be able to import and pay less at the port. That is why Guta presidency bedaho, secretary bedaho, treasurer bedawa. You people pay so much money to take those positions. Yeah. So I'm saying, blaming the politician, it is easy, an easy way out because you don't want to take responsibility for your own carelessness and your greed. It is a greed. Chinese cannot come into your market if your margins are small. That is what Chinese do. They send their people to Ghana. Hey, Ghana form a engine 10 Ghana, almost 13 Ghana. You better go 8 Ghana. It's a good market. That's what they do. And they have the production capacity. You don't have control because you don't have the production capacity. Your capacity is important. So if you are important, then limit your margin, your profit margin. Because the more you want to open up your profit margin, the Chinese will take advantage of your market. It's a fact. So you people should lower your greed a little bit. You people should trim down your greed a little bit. You are getting too greedy and you are destroying your own markets. This is another story I want us to talk about. And it's about MPP4. Omoda afina waka koku asem kakra. Omo ho am say okay, yenko ka electricity asem kakra. Omo ho am say okay, no so amfa o, yenko ka galamsey kakra. Eno so amfo, ende monko ka eyesam gemfi asem And also, and the Mumiankoka Gold Board, and the Mumiankoka Bank of Ghana. Right now, we don't really know what the MPP wants to talk about. What is your focus, the MPP as a political party? We want to ask you, MPP as a political party, no, what is your focus? What do you really want to discuss for us to see, say you are serious? Because we don't really know what you people want to talk about. Send a in the conversation. Because what of second we are no mujai. What of second we are, you don't have facts, then you run away. What of second answer, no Ibrahim Mahama, so and I'm for documents by say Ibrahim Mahama, a NPP for and a stati a Daman, Omujane. Nancy, I know Mujina, a cocoso, a giddy, Obdanguremo. Say, NPP for the person can want them. Focus and let us know what you want to do. Are you confused? We want to help you. Now saying, I'm saying electricity, and at the end, yati light so, yati so, and ya per se, war on the costo, not the end, food on the costo. Russia, Ukraine war costo. Israel, America, Iran, air costo. Petrol still a new 23 at a point in Ghana's history. 2021. Now you talk a year petrol 23 Ghana cedis a liter. The government of the day today is looking at two wars. So petrol could do 70 a liter cry. We will still vote NDC. Now, Omar Saba back. The NPP is a limited liability company filled with limited liability candidates. Now, this guy, your friend Amin Anta, Akwawe 2013-14, I interviewed him. Now, say, oh, energy expert and the economist. Hey, Ghana, pa, Jimmy. 2014, I need to ask my wife. I interviewed him. Now, say, oh, some. CSO say NGO say DN will be some energy DNB. Do you remember this guy? He started by telling us say he's an energy expert. Suddenly, Amin Adams, economics expert, ye Jimmy Bruta. Energy na mfa. Ofeli wa energy no. So right now no, on never can economy no one sama chere, on never chere say economy no nimu. And Uncle you say, okay, Mr. P, get me the name of his. I interviewed this guy. The Africa Energy Project. When I was doing a story on Ogbologo Fire, time about Ogbologo, video no say, Kevin Taylor and Ambola Sono. I interviewed this guy. Now, so an energy expert. For some reason, for some weird reason, this guy today is an economist. I'm saying, what is going on in Ghana? Now, then I'm just an expert to energy. Also, renewable energy, you know, Ghana needs to renew its trash, make sure we recycle. Then they can focus. I said, we interview him. Mr. Time Bill Gates Foundation, I'm 70,000 euros. It's me say, yeah, in term krana me editing am fanko. 2015, na me kuta 70,000 euros. Kwasi out depend me. 2017, Bill Gates Foundation, I'm 70,000 euros. Go to Africa. Satana John Mahama president. Me be Africa Energy Project. Me just 70,000 euros. 2050 kwasi afo bebre. Embassy in the kramu 70,000 euros that. Me just share. I'm saying, yanin tam na magiska. Mr. Can take some who grown him answer. Okay, thank you. I did see them call by a say we energy economist and I'm some more border Ghana home. Akwa say, I think it is ACEP, ACEP. Yeah. Africa Center for Energy Policy. Thank you, Mr. P. No, say on ACEP, Africa Center for Energy Policy. On him energy, I did see Akwa so or your economist. Ghana no nebe deputy finance. I'm say a good for this Akwa finance minister. I'm say Akwa so your energy expert. I don't know finance minister. But Omiaba also economist. Yeah, no also or your digitalization man. Just go for in kind of correct. Or your Ramadan in no transfer. But let's deal with the issues. 2014, I'm at just 70,000 euros. Hey. Me di prima che rough. Now small boys kwasi afo na zebuta mbeka Kevin Taylor sam. Oh obusu nyina obi na 70,000 euros da. That time no me dis na I'm your boy. 70,000 euros. I'm so ko Africa, ko Ghana. Energy problems, ko you documentary my yen fe my Jessica, my so. My shan komo no. Pepe kroji no fake story. Me wura car power nim. Me ko interview the MD of car power. Me wura machine mu sibia Jo Muhammad car power naba. Ya dia interview. Ya interview the energy the owner of car power. Ya ko around the nation. Me ko Kumasi. Me ko Asafo. Ya ko interview printing press for. Me wura central region. Me wura east chese. Na me interview. Na me edit. Na me chucha. Na me massa. 70,000 euros over here slow. My jet to ye. Chan hina na me do. Na mama ni dwam. Mu hu sika da nkwase afo na nse hu $2,000 mo mani pan na and yenye sika. Wo hu sika da. Mr. S, get me the video before I go on. Let me expose you Akwawe. This guy started as an agency expert. Mr. S, get me his resume. Let me expose you mo. Yen delete Amin Adams. Amin Adams. Only be about economy. He knows nothing about economy. Or a speculative economist. Or speculative. Hey, now what is going on? Hey, what is going on? Oh, so that is what they are doing. I'll go and say it tomorrow. Or a speculative economist. This guy called Amin Adams. He is not any better economist to be a. The Ghana shed is the Amin Adams. Minyamba some no what can so. But make sure who he is. Medina Jiskada. Medas. Do you have the video? The Africa Energy Project. Oh, this is the video. The Africa Energy Project. Mami bonchiro. Ma so 70,000 euros. That time wo satana way kwase hu skada. Yeni. Mami bonchiro. We na mu di matam Kevin Taylor. He. Ye bo adwuma satana mu bebre na mu bumba crab mumba nkran boda. Mu bebre na mu nyamba nkran 2013 2012 2013 2014 na mu nkran. Na mu gunkrase. And I need a boy, 70,000 euros. Sad story we start Africa Energy, mini, mujame, aquama bre. Now show me new pa. I say, I just say, Somalia for the machine, my bassa money the fast, mamma menko. Which aquama phone.
You are watching Loud Silence, and I'm standing at Oglogo, the old dump site in Accra. What I'm about to show you is really going to shock you. Madam Ivona Mankwa, a mother of 4, has been living with it for a year and a half now.
Ghana is faced with serious energy challenges. The load shedding of electricity we have been going through demonstrate the enormity of our energy challenges. Any material that has the potential of being transformed into energy, has economic use. It has economic value.
That could not make she say ball and plastic waste na na egugu ti na me shishi ti da ko me she na endum de sign na fe de hu say e de blue ti say gas pepe nyumre no ade sign ya ko that time na ball afo no e wa ha nti na esuro mpo say ye bebe hu nti eja ye na ye fe so nti na ye ndum no nti da ko na me ye say me de ade be siso na me ye choba ball and mu heat no if you say amu bae no amu kire me say de me ho no etie no ball and mu heat no betumi generate eja gas amamia betumi use no be 2 weeks and 1 month no mo kan bo man fa anya se bani ba ko ne kan Many say and it's young son of Pano, Mobesha, and Mitchell, who say, Bro, you a de blue. And see why I didn't say so about sanity, a de blue, come on. It didn't know be a yes, midnight I had any eyes so and do. Then so need talk, Nasa, idea, some Kwana, say, no, dear, blue, dear. The
people here may see the fire as the least of their worries because it provides free gas. But such natural gas formed from garbage can be extremely dangerous. It may not be healthy to cook with, and with the smallest disturbance, it could even explode at any time. Since the landfill produces so much heat, could there be a way to capture this as usable energy? Ghana is currently focused on gaining energy from the West African natural gas pipeline, but could energy production from waste provide a simpler way to get this gas directly from the trash we produce at home every day?
What is happening in this community at the landfill attests to the fact that you can generate gas from waste substances, through the burning of biodegradable materials. If there is a way to trap the escaping gas, that would be welcome, but it's very difficult unless you have an engineered process. But until you are able to get this engineered system, you will not be able to tap. But it's very dangerous because these gaseous substances are also affecting the environment. It's affecting the health of the people.
The technology of converting waste to energy is feasible in Ghana, but the question is, would it be economical to do it? And that has been the main challenge. Waste generation in Accra is estimated around 2,000 tons a day. So if you have a place where you can really operate effectively for between 15 to 50 years, it gives the real impact that you want in terms of gas recovery, in terms of creating that sustainability, not moving from one point to the other.
It's relevant for the country now than ever. Ghana is faced with serious energy challenges. What we need to do is to expand renewable energy. Once you are able to gather this waste, and waste is generated every day, every hour, you will have a reliable source.
In a place where waste management and energy reliability are huge issues, why can't we solve both problems at once? Such innovation would need great support from private businesses and government alike. But if funding is actually spent in the right places, could domestically produced renewable energy be the solution to Ghana's current energy crisis?
That was a loud silence production. Amin Adams, no so energy expert. Aquaman what time? You ready to go for now? Show me Hana. I said, "Droben yedi shoe panya wome ha." You ready? A comunye. My hand tan. Make us a grandma. Thank you very much for coming. Uja me I say. Ya about 2 minutes go home in the go a orphanage home. Aqua phone ready. Sometimes I'm a guy who now more ex-girlfriends for them some more times and I want can't know. Now shall call me Paragram is sir. Just I say Charlie, we drive the Charlie, my Charlie. So Amin Adams no. On kind of correct. And Amin Adams say, or your economist, all right, that's fine. Let's take care of business. Na me go tell me board video the chire be say mo chire so wo mo boa o mo economist papa bia o mo start say economist ade be chi no mo headmasters o mo boa. Now what is he saying? Aquama phone hey now me show this na I say Mr. Damien the Pam metade and metami sometimes Jesus na nyan kwankwa Jesus mabobọ ne nsa no na mabọ watch blue bees I watch no etumi kwa na gina aquama bre za watch no I obi bu sometime I can because they be an about 4 I but no that be do to be anyway now we nipa otwa he me nam bola so no na me yire Marisa Schwartz no di mechi ne nam bola so bibini bank obeka so onye me wura underground na me yire we di mechi no kuta camera na me wura underground na me ye interview me wura eye tokrom na me yire we di mechi kwasia wo asam ka me say me wura na me yire wura kam nipa no odi mechi no amena ball aso no ano buza wo na ejina ball aso twa me no na me yire no bro ni ba jiu ni ba mi wura no wura kwasia onye said that form na most of them mukasa by heart bro ni ba sikeni ba mi wura ball aso onye said Jackie me small we komisa Kofi Annan I don't think Kofi Annan call ya ko fa French ni ba Come to Nkrumah dey go Egypt. Okay, come kwasi asem. I'm show. Now, Amin Adams Akasa. Now, as something you say, the reason why I showed you this was because I want you to know, say, this guy is a liar. He's not an economist. He started as an energy expert. Let him stay there. When someone talking about energy, renewable energy, obedi power no oya, he did not even tempt one. Obia or background your energy. Ura politics ma also your economist. That is the lies. Now let's deal with this issue. Bank of Ghana sold our gold reserves to hide 2025 losses. How? What's the sense in this? And when I hear the NPP make arguments to say, you gold DB or NDC for Akoton, and a gold board, the Bank of Ghana Akoton, and one person more say, you people are daft. Ma bon. Until to Mukwasia baby not to Facebook. NDC for Akoton gold, and one person one I'm saying, do you understand gold trade? Do you even understand gold trade? You can say gold reserve out here. Do you even know what gold reserve is and where the gold you are talking about, where that gold is? You have no idea. Ghana Gold Reserve, it is kept at the Bank of England. Ghana Gold Reserve, it is kept at the Bank of England. Some are kept at Citibank in America and SIB. Do you know? Because you say Gold Reserve, the Bank of Ghana. The governor of Bank of Ghana, he, as he sits there, he cannot just walk to England and say, open Ghana's gold for me and let me sell it to my cronies. Jimmy, you don't understand even what you are talking about. NPP for Kankwasiasama, you see some dirty people. Gold, as it sits, is very volatile. That means, anopa gold, say 6,000, and 6, now gold number 2,000. You cannot trust it. Now, any country like Ghana, Sebio, you rely on gold, so Sebio as our source of income. Somehow, what we have to do is when we cap our gold, and when we go into the law, we have to cap our gold at 20%. Now, anything above 20%, if we are smart as a nation, when the gold prices are up, we have to quickly turn that money or turn that gold into liquidity. That is into forex, into money. Because you cannot. And the reason why your reserves, you can say gold reserve or reserve near. And your gold in kwa, you can say a nation's reserve. A sika for contingency purposes. That means say here sika. Into Omani etiwono, you can say this is your reserve. See our 10,000 Ghana cedis in gold. Asemitu ya na. Sika ya. We cannot just lift the gold and sell because gold is something that takes time to sell. And every time, you need to cap your gold at a point. It is our gold you cap it at 20%. So at 20%, you keep it as raw gold. Now that raw gold, you don't touch it. Anything be abrusubiano. When you look at the world market, because it can fluctuate anytime, you sell it off and you turn it into forex. That means you turn it into dollar. Now your gold reserve, you keep it, and majority of our gold reserve is not even in Ghana. It is in the Bank of England. And it was Citibank. And it was SIB. So you don't just get up and say Ghana for the gold, your cronies. Do you know the process you go through to even get gold? Actually, wait, Jimmy. Actually, I want to journalism. I say, actually, I won't read it. Now, gold drew a pointer. In the last 2 weeks, gold has depreciated about 15%. So those people talking about Ghana, your gold, if you bent in the group in the NPP for no say, at the intina, your tongue gold when the prices were high. Let me ask them. Right now, gold in the last 2 weeks, it has depreciated 15%. Gold and almost 6,000 and there is below 4,000 or close to 4,000 and over. Do you expect us to sell the gold now? And I say, and then a person get on gold, And these are people sitting on TV and radio, and they want to create an impression. Say, Obi to Bank of Ghana, they go krabim internapano. No, a friend and now for OJ. It has not worked like that. Now, whether the gold goes up or goes down, still Ghana government or the gold board still needs to buy gold. That means, say, as you are buying the gold, it could be, say, and then you turn 6,000 an ounce. At the gold, at from about 3,000 an ounce. It does not mean, say, you have to stop buying the gold. And that means you, the people selling the buying the gold, and that's a gold board, no, they will have to be smart enough to understand the say gold near ton of system, no. We will have to negotiate well with the sellers. Send a buyer, so prices no fluctuate here. It will not go too much against us, and then your friend administrative cost. In the same people focus say gold board in the Bank of Ghana boka, you will be for an administrative cost. As you are dealing in gold, the gold price does not stay at one place, it fluctuates. In Tebia and the Otonya for so 2 cities are the market has fluctuated. Okoton Obasaboka 1 city. And through that, you start to do what? Shift things around. And then your friend administrative cost at the end of the day, no, your calculation, you are both what to mean 10 billion. But there's an administrative cost. You cannot say losses, because when you are buying gold at the end of the day, because you are dealing in gold or doing gold business does not mean you have to halt the gold prices. The gold prices keeps going up and down. That does not mean gold board should sit there and wait till the prices get flat or get even, or does not mean move before they buy gold. No, they have to be buying gold. So as you are dealing in gold, at different prices, but it will favor, it will go against you. So through that, you do your math, and then you also have to strike good deals with the sellers. Senebeya, you do not make a loss, or you don't make losses. It is all to and say, Bank of Ghana sold our gold reserve to hide 2025 losses. Where are you coming from? What is your basis for that argument? It is just political. It means you are stupid. You don't understand what you are saying. It is sometimes these people just want to say things and just walk away. But really, there's nothing like Krababi Nesi Bank of Ghana and a gold nugum and a dear and Siam and Samij fit to say, hey, when I end this in the Brabajibi, it does not work like that. In this artist will be friend of journalist, not the TV, so the radio say, and this if what on gold in Mamma or Quasia on ready on Tiasia, he does not or she does not understand the gold trade. They have no knowledge about where the gold even ends. Because you can see a reserve now. We cannot leave all our gold reserve in gold. That would be stupid. What if our gold reserve is $100 billion? Now, Adiabechi, gold was 6,000. Now, the next day, Atiaba 1,002. It means it's not 100 billion again. It has dropped to about 20 billion. But then, if you save our 20%, you cap it, you keep 20%, and when the prices go to 6,000 an ounce, you sell the rest now. It means you can convert that gold into dollar. You keep that too. Because when it comes to dollar, what happens is it takes time for the dollar to depreciate. And also gold, because it's volatile, it can take 24 hours to depreciate maybe 20%. The last 2 weeks, gold depreciated 15%. Into Mibusako of event and Kwasiafo we say, into Nankosia trying for the last 2 weeks after it depreciate for gold board to do what? To sell now. And this is basic economics. This is basic administrative work you have to do. You get some people following this argument and saying, NDC for atom gold and cronies. Do you know the rigorous process gold goes in or goes through before they will say this is gold, it is in your reserve? Do you know? The Bank of Ghana governor, he cannot even get up and say, I'm going to go touch Ghana's gold reserve. He can't. Nobody in Ghana can get up one day and say, I am going to UK, open the vote, this is our gold, give me some. Nobody can do that. So they just don't make just vague statement, and they are hiding losses and they are hiding this. Nobody's hiding anything. The Bank of Ghana governor says, if you want him to open the books, come and see it. SCMI is inviting you, dumb idiots. Go and see it. Menya sure say you be a company they have not made administrative loss before. But the question here is, did Gold Board bring in money? Yes. How much? 10 billion. If you are saying say Gold Board aboka, now a cano administrative loss, it is say you are talking about a Bank of Ghana. Almost say Kojo Oppong was saying Kojo Oppong telling us to say the government has been manipulating data to achieve favorable economic data. What the fuck is that? Kojo Oppong learned biochemistry in school, and they're on nature economics. Kojo Oppong the background biochemistry. Oh, some people for Jimmy. Oh, you see, MPP, they are very foolish. Kojo Oppong the background biochemistry. And the Oppong person catch economics near to Abama Baumia. Now Baumia not to no ebuntu. Why is he not speaking on the economy? Why is Baumia not being a man intelligent enough to organize lectures to prove to us to say some data is being manipulated to favor the government data? This boy's background is biochemistry. How can a failed biochemistry student come and tell Ghana how we have to manage our economy? Ghana ne ye jimintra. How can we get to this point where a biochemistry student who could not pursue biochemistry to become whatever he wants to be, today wearing tie, nitika kraka say, jantra vokura babekachre say, he knows how we have to manage our economy. Ye Jimmy. Now Nkrumah or Fonsia Yirebi, the party what power kura, no to me. What did he do in his own constituency? He could not even manage the affairs of Fonsia Yirebi. Now, these statements are vague. The reason why I say these statements are vague, they say, let me show you people something first about gold. Let me show. The prices of gold, another price of gold is still falling. Let me show. Intinanka kofi bento kwasiano. Nanka mpesi etina ho. Then the gold prices now are falling totally. No. Satan nanka yenton your gold. No. You people are foolish men. Here, this is the data and the gold. Let me show gold prices in there. Look, you see this? Thank you very much, Mr. S. Thank you for bringing this in. You see this? This is how gold is dropping. You see? You see the price of gold? It is dropping every single day. Oh, maybe a gold could do here 5,200. A koya could do 5,600 at the peak. And the gold is lingering around 4,653. In 2 weeks, gold are dropping 15%. So in the next 2 weeks, if it drops another 15%, do you know where gold will be? This is the reality you are seeing. 2026 February. Now gold was lingering around 4,600. Around March, starting of March, it was lingering around 5,000, 5,200. It went all the way up around 2026, January, February. It went all the way back to up to 5,600. Today, as we speak, gold is selling at 4,653. That is where gold is selling. So, from what you are seeing, you can see, say every candlestick. That's how they call it. Every candlestick be a week. It's a week. So you see week by week how gold is dropping. Every one of the colors you see now is a candlestick, you know. Every week, you know. You see within from February, from March, you see weekly. You see how gold is dropping. You see how gold is dropping in price. And the price as I speak today is dropping. So why an Ajuni Juma Obeka Chrem say we were not supposed to sell our gold. So we were supposed to keep the gold for the gold to turn $1 again. So how did this guy become an economist? Telling us to say the government is hiding losses. How is the government hiding losses? The government was proactive. The governor of Bank of Ghana was proactive. The gold board CEO was proactive. They looked at the market and they realized that if they don't do something quickly, if they don't make sure they get rid of some of our reserve, because we already have our cap, which is 20%, it's sitting there. Our cap that we have to keep as a nation, 20% is there. We have not eaten into it. Whatever comes beyond or above the cap, we should be able to turn it into dollar. And the smartest leaders know that. That is how they were able to sell off the Dasrono. Today is sitting there as money. And today, if we need money seriously, we can use those dollars to work. Make sure we end the gold for me. Can you go and pick gold and say you want money today? No. It will take you a couple of days. Every time our process because we are not gold not see about $2. And that is what this government didn't want to do. And who is lying to who? Who is hiding what? And Kwasia Jandam. And there are some people on social media calling themselves journalists. They don't read, they don't analyze, they don't research. And Kwasia Kika, hey, and this is 4% more distracting more, and they see God almost Tomo Mukron is Kwasia Ba, Kwasia Kasa. In Kwasi forma, you don't read. Now, over Tina Brochino, catch you so Kwasi Organa, and dear Namawoye, Obia with ye. You cannot read. When Jimmy Titi politics Nana Moye, Titi journalism Nana Moye, the reality is there. The reality is there. And you're trying to do matama. And just say, you did your biatam. When Jimmy Tin, you do matam. Do you trade in gold than me? Who trade your gold, Jamie? You don't trade in gold more than I trade in gold. Yes. If you don't sit there and make it look like saying Kwasia 4, you are the only people who can say things for things to change. You started trading gold over 20 years. You started trading gold. Me your bossy, me bossy akora. I've been trading gold like 15, 20 years now. You cannot sit there and make it look like say you name the air we are say any gold market.
The MPP cannot be underestimated.
The MPP of Darocha, Sakiskek, Victor Wusu, Kofi Buzia, Professor Edubuahe, Alajete, J.A. Kufuor, those men of value, those men of integrity are not what we have today. I tell you without mincing words, the 5 people who are contesting, wanting to be flag bearers, are just sankwas. I tell you without mincing words, the 5 people who are contesting, wanting to be flag bearers, are just sankwas. I tell you without mincing words,